Now, this guy has not yet dropped back 100 times in the NFL, but fast forward to the end of the season, if you told me he ended up being MVP, I think it's crazy, but I wouldn't freak out. Now, I got to meet Anthony Richardson back at the Manning Passing Academy in 2022. I watched him throw, kick it with him a little bit, and the intangibles, the physical stuff, I mean, it's like impossible to miss. For me, he's on a real short list. Josh Allen, Cam Newton, maybe Andrew Luck, of just physical freaks. They can run, they can throw, they're massive, they change direction, they accelerate, decelerate quick, all the stuff. There's a lot of great athletes in the NFL, but there is a short list of the people who can do everything and weigh over 240 pounds. And I say that, and then I look at his combine numbers versus Cam Newton's combine numbers, and you go, this is the outlier of all outliers. Now, all of that is potential, but that potential makes me think that literally anything is possible for this guy. But what does the tape say? What should Colts fans actually expect? And what does him being paired with, in my opinion, one of the best play callers and play designers in head coach Shane Steichen, what does that combination mean for the upcoming season?
All right, let's dive into the tape. This first one right here, shot down the middle of the field. Now let's just look from a coverage perspective. The Rams are getting to cover two, okay? So he's dropping here. They've got these areas. Now, if you look at these defenders right here, they're all playing regular cover two, okay? Meaning they're not playing two-man. They're look at the corner down at the bottom. He's letting him run. That's a cover two corner. The corner up top, that's a cover two corner. The linebacker with the long hair, outside linebacker up top, he's letting him go. But now bring your eyes to the slot defender down here who is playing two carry, where he is playing, essentially he's playing two-man. He's carrying the seam so that you don't throw the seam. And that's exactly what Indy does. So we're going to get vertical, give him a nod, and split this. We've got to get that safety out of there. And if this ball is not perfectly thrown, then it is not complete. Anthony, 3 and a hitch, on time. Not much separation there, okay? With help over the top, by the way. And Anthony puts this thing on the money. And by the way, just rips this ball down the middle of the field. Look at it from this angle. Confirms coverage, comes back, and this ball is a seed. I mean, that is not layered. It's thrown exactly. Most quarterbacks are going to layer that right down the middle, let it go a little earlier. He lets it go a little later, but it is what an old teammate and friend of mine, Chad Henne, would call a piss missile right down the middle of the field. Only his guy can get it. DB's back's turned, safety's coming over, but he's too late. Huge gain. Okay. Second clip, here comes the mobility side of it. This is what Shane Steichen's going to be able to do a lot of, which is QB design run, faking a reverse here. Okay, so we're basically getting everybody on defense to field this action here. But we're going to slide this tight end across, and that's going to be our lead blocker. So it's a designed QB run, and you're making, it's another carry for Anthony Richardson. Yeah, but it's not between the tackles. He's not going to be bouncing off of a bunch of people fighting through contact. He's actually going to run 10 yards, almost 15 before he draws contact. Could have dove here and not even taken that hit. That's kind of him choosing to take that hit. But another play where because of his speed, he's able to get down the field with a lead blocker. And again, he doesn't avoid contact at the end of this, but definitely could have if he wanted to. But again, this play design, everything is telling the Houston Texans that they're going left. Even the cameraman's faked out. And he's 10 yards down the field by the time the cameraman finds him. This is where the play design comes in. Great play design, but a player who's physically capable of making that work. Now, I think a lot of people would have had a big run there, and a handful of guys would have scored there, but it's the threat down in the red zone. We've seen Josh Allen become arguably the best red zone threat in the NFL. I think a lot of that is on the table for Anthony Richardson too. All right, now this clip is a little bit probably more Ben Roethlisberger than anything. Throwing the ball all the way down the field, pushing the ball vertically, but from a collapsing pocket, inability to step into it, can't follow through, all that stuff. So here's Anthony, climbs in the pocket, pushes this ball 10, 20, 30, 40, about 48 yards in the air. And as we look at it from here, didn't have much of an opportunity to step into this or anything. Avoids that first contact. Look at that. His feet are set. This is like feet in cement. His hips are right here. Okay? And he is throwing the ball that way. Really far. and really accurately. His feet come off the ground, but this is where the talent comes in. Again, the ball's thrown out of the screen to a place that only his guy can get it 40-something yards down the field. Again, that's not play design. That's not play structure. That's not superstar sick wideouts outside. That's just a dude making a play. All right, the last one's a little bit more routine. Okay, and I think, honestly, this year will end up being routine for him. This is 5 and a hitch, subtle pocket movement, and just throwing the alert corner route. I mean, if you look at this concept here, you've got homeboy running a dig right here, and then a high angle corner, which is usually an alert. But as soon as he sees this guy's feet settle, there's a lot of people that don't attempt this throw, but he's able to throw 10, 20, 30, again, 48 yards in the air, kind of ripped on a line. That's a tight window. It looks wide open on tape, but not if you're 48 yards away. It's a tight window if you're that far. But 5, feels that front side pressure, still climbs. And this ball, this is layered for him, but it's ripped for anybody else, or not attempted if it's me, and just pushes the ball to the sidelines. So again, when you talk about great play designer, like I believe Shane Steichen is, when you have quarterbacks who rip the ball 40-something yards and can attempt that alert corner and complete it 55 yards, what it does is it just opens up, the playbook, so to speak, but specifically it creates more high percentage attempts down the field, more shots, more attempts at that, because you have a player who can actually do it. Just looking at Anthony, he started 4 games, had an AC joint surgery. Teams on defense, they have to play a lot of zone spot drop because QB power is an option. QB run in general is an option. They're going to rush him differently than you would rush somebody who can't move like him. Now, Brett Coleman had an interesting theory on why the Colts are going to be scary. I like this. Only 3 teams recently had a 50% or higher rate of using one type of formation, and that's a 2x2. 2 guys on the right, 2 guys on the left. All of them were 2x2. The Eagles with Shane Steichen, the Colts with Shane Steichen, and then Frank Reich. And Steichen coached with Frank Reich on the Chargers staff between 2013 2015. So there's a big belief in that. Okay, so then you go like, well, why 2x2? So the most common check you're going to get in a 2x2 is typically single high. Teams want to run a lot of RPO, and RPO is just more effective versus that coverage because you've got another player in that box. But the Colts last year didn't see a lot of cover 3. They saw a lot more man because they had Gardner Minshew, who's a great player, but not the run threat that Anthony is. So I think it's going to be tough to play a lot of man versus him because once he gets past the line of scrimmage, he can be gone. Look up his 40-yard dash time. And they're going to be in 2x2 a lot, and they're going to be able to isolate matchups and get him more pure progression, full field reads. And by the way, it's hard to just line up and play cover 2 when you've got Jonathan Taylor in the backfield, because then you're running on a 6-man box all the time. So I think there's a bunch of things outside of Anthony's physical unique traits that make me, again, really optimistic about what he can be and what the Colts can be this year. But it's that combination. I think we're going to be talking more about it when we get later in the year. That combination of Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson, as well as some of the other guys, Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman Jr., I think set to have a career year after just getting paid. So I'm pumped to watch the Colts. I haven't said that in a long time, but I am. I'm fired up to see this offense. I'm a big fan of Shane, big fan of Anthony, and I hope that they're able to continue to raise the level of play in the AFC South that between Jacksonville and Houston this last year has been raised a bunch. Some of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL are actually in the AFC South right now, and it's going to be fun to watch.